Hello, my name is Desaiva Jamila. Today I'm going to be talking about a clip from a movie that is called The 100 Foot Journey. So from the very beginning, we can see how two different cultures interact in a business setting and how their views on gastronomy, on hospitality can be very different because of their cultural expectations and upbringing. So first of all, our protagonists are Madame Mallory. She represents the French culture. She's a French chef in the French village. And the Indian culture, on the other hand, is represented by Kadam family, an Indian family that has moved to a French village to open their family restaurant. So in the beginning, we can see some kind of a conflict, or should I say, just misunderstanding and misinterpretation of the cultural ideations of what the culinary business should look like. So first of all, according to Erin Meyer's culture maps, different cultures, they interact very differently in terms of communication, evaluation, and trust due to their cultural upbringing. So there are certain factors that I'm going to be talking about, and first of all is communication styles. Communication in the French culture in comparison to the Indian one is very low context, meaning that they're very direct, they're very straightforward, they don't go around the bush, and they use explicit communication. Whereas on the other hand, the Indian family, Kadam family, in comparison to the French culture, they're very high context, meaning they do not use very direct communication, and a certain level of cultural background of Indian culture is needed to understand certain things. Secondly, evaluating. The French culture, in comparison to the Indian one, gives very direct negative feedback, meaning that Madame Mallory, our protagonist, she is very comfortable about criticizing the restaurant because in her culture it's very normal and there's nothing wrong with that, with sharing that opinion. Whereas with our Indian family, Indian culture, to them it's very shocking and it's unexpected, it's not very socially acceptable, and to that they respond with just politeness and they avoid confrontation, so they don't give the same energy and the same response. This difference in communication styles can be misinterpreted as weird from both parties, whereas the French culture with their low context communication style and also very direct negative feedback can be seen as rude, whereas the Indian culture's high context and indirect negative feedback can be seen as unclear and also weird from the French culture. Thirdly, we have the trusting. So the French culture compared to the Indian one, they have task-based trusting, meaning they value professionalism and standards, whereas the Indian culture, on the other hand, their trusting is more relationship-based, meaning they value personal connections above all. So these differences, they can be misinterpreted in business settings and business surrounding just because of the lack of awareness. And so it's important to keep in mind that different cultures, they have very different socially acceptable behaviors. And so in order to avoid misunderstandings or conflicts on this basis of just different cultures and different upbringings, for both parties it's important to learn to adapt to different cultural contexts that people come from, to develop cultural awareness and just to be open-minded and to learn how to navigate the differences in different communication styles. Thank you for your attention.